Howdy folks, Sapper here, aka Sean, and I'm bringing you a playthrough of Space Empires 4X. What else are you going to do during the Corona apocalypse when you can't go to work? You try to take over the galaxy. Alright, so here we have it set up. So this is not the standard game board. So this is the Talon game board. So to that spot right there is the Talon game board, and this is the half map. So basically what it does is the depth is not as much. So normally you would have 2 hexes of the deep space chits between one empire and the other. So the Talon board is not quite as wide. These hexes are a little bit bigger. They're just a tiny, and you can kind of see. Let me move that out of the way. So you can kind of see that the hexes are just a little bit larger, which is actually a good thing because hexes can tend to get crowded. There we go. Move that piece right there. Hexes can get kind of crowded. I'm pretty sure they're going to get crowded. I mean, you can kind of already see that one's a little bit crowded. So the board is not as deep, but it is longer. I don't know how many hexes longer. I think this map is the same length in hexes as the Space Empires map. Let's just assume it is. So we're getting an extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're getting an extra 8 hexes in depth. So we've got blue and red over here. They're gonna probably interact with each other sooner. And then of course green and yellow are going to interact a little bit sooner because they're closer, but it's going to take a little bit longer to converge into the center. I didn't feel like punching out more deep space counters. I still have the, because if you buy close encounters, you get basically a whole nother complete set of chits. So I didn't punch out the deep space chits from close encounters. I just used the replicator chips from the replicators expansion and kind of threw those in the middle. So the replicator ones are basically the same as your normal faction. They're a little bit friendlier, right? Not as much bad stuff happens. So towards the center of the universe is going to be a little bit, or the galaxy, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be a little bit more friendly. Of course, they've kind of been randomly dispersed. These blank hexes right here, I'm just going to say that there's nothing in there. It's like, empty space, which there's a lot of space in space, right? And I randomly distributed the purple ones. So it looks like over here on this part, it's going to be a little bit more advantageous to green and yellow. And of course, the galaxy isn't fair. The galaxy doesn't care. It doesn't have favorites. It doesn't play favorites with anybody. So these guys get a little bit of advantage maybe. We'll see. We'll see how that works out in the end. So, optional rules that I'm playing with. I'm not doing the instant technology. I will do the black holes. I'll do the warp points. I will do the doomsday machines. So if one of those pops up and somebody gets ambushed by it, one of the different factions could get taken out by a doomsday machine. I think I played one time where that actually ended up happening. I will do gearing limits. I'm going to do unpredictable research. If I can remember all this stuff. Again, this is a lot of stuff to remember. So that's it for Space Empires. For the close encounters, I'm going to do the industrial centers. Of course, I will do the terraforming nebulae. I'm not going to do unique ships. And I think that is it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm using flagships. I think that's it. And then from the replicators, I'm not using the replicator faction. I will be using the advanced bases and the X or experimental. I think it's either X or A is yeah, I think X is advanced. So any ship that you see with an X on it, and there's only a couple of those counters in the game, and it'll take a while to actually get those into the game anyway. So it'll be a while before that even happens. So you can get an advanced flagship. I'm going to play with the alien tech cards. I'm going to be playing with Empire advantages. I'm going to be playing with the resource cards. Yeah, I got the resource cards and alien tech, and I think that's it. I'm sure there's something I'm probably forgetting. So I've kind of got everything set up. I got my yellow and green over there. I've got my blue and red way over there. I've got the battle chart. Of course, and I did say in the beginning that occasionally I might handle some ship-to-ship combat by using Talon. Well, I've got the Talon board tied up here, so I've still got my other Space Empires board right here that I could possibly do Talon. I mean, as long as it took me to set this up, maybe I have kind of bit off more than I can chew. I doubt it. I mean, this is so far to me that I think World in Flames was easier to set up than this. But that might be just, you know, I've been setting this up for a while. And it's taken quite a while to set up. So I've got each faction. So basically so here are the home worlds. So as I flip those, and of course I've got the other bigger tiles over there. So as I flip a nebula or a black hole or something, I'll replace the square, you know, the small chit with the hex. Here's the resource card. So the way those work at the beginning of the game, you take the deck and you divide it into 4. And then you will get 3 cards. Each player gets 3 cards. And I think at the beginning of the economics phase, you get to draw 1. You can have up to 5 in your hand, and you can play these on your turn. And they give you certain benefits. Once you've used up all of your cards, that's it. This is all you get for the entire game. So once you use it, then it's gone. Each person. Let me go ahead and explain. So each player, I've assigned a card, a real person card. So there's a picture of them on the front, and then it's got different things about them. And this will kind of help me decide what kind of decisions they'll make throughout the game. So just kind of looking at her stuff here. So, you know, her secret fantasy is to own a castle. So maybe she will be a little bit defensive, right? She'll adopt more of a defensive strategy and research defensive technologies. But also, she races sailboats even when there are icebergs in the harbor. So when it came down to the alien or the Empire advantage, you give each person 2 of them and they choose one of them. So I thought the fearless race kind of applied to somebody who would race sailboats even when there's icebergs in the harbor. So basically, the fearless race for Marty, and that's her name. So all of their ships fire at attack class A in the first round of combat. After the first round, their ships revert to the normal attack class. However, they can't retreat until after round 3. So it's just a little advantage that each race gets, or each person gets. So, you know, so I'll probably adopt the defensive stance with her based on her wanting to own a castle, but she's also fearless in combat when she does do it, because, you know, who's going to race sailboats when there's icebergs in the harbor? So just little things like that. I've got their fleet mat set out, and I think that's it that's Marty. So she's with the yellow guys, whoever they are. So next we have Sadie, and there's Sadie. She is a nurse's aide, and then I chose the Empire advantage for her is I chose Immortals, based on the fact that she's healthcare, right? The race produces very slowly but never dies of old age. They have developed extra shielding and a system of reserve power in an attempt to preserve the lives of the people, which is what nurses do. So, one time in each round of combat, this race may choose to ignore 1 point of damage. However, because a large seed population is needed for their colonies, each colony ship now costs double, or 2 CPs more, 2 construction points more. So, and then here's her resource cards. Here's her deck of 3. And also, too, I forgot to note this, that so each faction starts out with 1 miner, 3 colony ships, 3 scouts, 4 shipyards. So, you see the 4 underneath. And then everybody's got their flagship too. So there's their flagship. So each colony is the same way. I have each one of them set up the same way. So, well, there's Marty. And then here's Sadie. And then I had to, because this is actually on the Space Empires board, I had to make a new one. And then I have Stevie. So there's Stevie. And his occupation is a clergyman. So what I might do with him is he might play this race that's basically trying to travel across the galaxy, and basically it's kind of like a crusade, right? They're going to go and they're going to be very expansionistic, and it's going to be either, you join us or you die, right? You're a heretic otherwise. So I think that's the way I'm going to play him. And then he chose the master engineers before moving. For a turn, each ship may choose to move 1 hex farther than it normally would have been allowed to move. But each ship that does so must roll a die. On a 9 and 10, that ship instead may not move at all. So that's kind of his aggressive expansion idea, right? So they can move a little bit faster than everybody else. And then let's go ahead and flip Stevie back over. And then last but not least, we have Beaver. And then his occupation is finance. So he's going to be all about trying to get those economic points or research points or whatever they are. There's 2 different forms of currency in the game. One is industrial. I think it's IPs. And the other one is research. So he's going to be all about the industrial points. And let me see here. Yeah, here we go. So when you build colonies, you can either have them focused on research, or you can have it focused on industrial. And so I think I might have Beaver. He's going to be focused way more on industrial, right? Because that's money, right? So he chose Celestial Knights. And the reason he chose Celestial Knights, because God hates cowards, right? Knights are noble and they're not cowardly, and he was also an Eagle Scout. So the Celestial Knights, once per space battle after the first round, at the start of the round, this race may declare a charge. All of their ships get 2 attacks in that round only. However, in all following rounds, all enemy ships get +1 to their attack strength. The charging ships may not retreat the round after the charge. So basically he's all in, right? So that's kind of why I chose the Celestial Knights for him, just being the Eagle Scout and the go-getter and not being cowardly, right? So there is the setup for this monster of a game, which I didn't think it was going to be that bad. It's been a while since I've played this, and I did not think it was going to be as intensive to set up as it was, but holy smokes, was it intense. And of course the counter trays, I've forgotten how they were organized and all that kind of stuff. So you gotta get back into the swing of things when you've got a game that you haven't played a while, especially one that uses a lot of chits. So that's it. There is the introduction to Space Empires 4X and then the setup. So there'll be more to follow. Thanks for watching.